Hi guys. Welcome back to Tea Talks with
Meosha
and
Irina.
We're back.
Lady in white.
Thank you. Yeah, we're complimenting each other today.
Yin yang, you know?
That's right. That's what we are. Mm-hmm. Hey, so, okay. I'm going to start it off. You know how last episode we talked about, whatever we talked about? I just remember that somehow triggers came up. And we thought, why not? That's a good topic.
Why not?
We want to talk about triggers. Maybe we'll discover a thing or two during this conversation. So I'm going to open it with, I'm actually going to give you a definition of what a trigger is in terms of psychology, because obviously we all know the definition of a trigger otherwise. Mm-hmm. But in psychology, is a stimulus such as a smell, sound, or sight that triggers the feelings of trauma. Typically, it triggers the feeling of trauma in terms of describing post-traumatic stress. So people with PTSD have more triggers, obviously.
Yeah.
But I venture to say that all of us living human beings have triggers. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure.
Sure as in you're appeasing me, or sure you agree?
Sure, I agree. My goodness. Trigger!
True! Oh my God, that is so true.
She has a lot with me.
We didn't go far.
We're like 5 minutes in.
Woo! Oh, that was a good one. Touche, Meosha. Yeah. Oh, wow. She got me. So, reeling it in. We didn't even start off yet. Come on. I can't lose it this early in the show.
You know, I like to throw you off your A game.
She does. You would think she'd support me.
I do support you. This is good. This is along the lines of the topic today.
Sure is. Sure is.
We're giving you guys an example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, triggers.
Many people have them. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people have triggers. I agree.
I believe they are both negative and positive triggers.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we're going to talk about the negative ones first.
Sure.
And then we'll dabble a little sugar on the positive ones to finish the sesh on a good note. Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness. So the reason we want to talk about it is because I think a lot of people don't realize that you can have a certain sense of control over your triggers. Because we all say, well, when I'm triggered, I lose my leap, right? We do. Because trigger is something that is outside of our cognitive attention, cognitive understanding, cognitive absorption. I'm not sure how to really put this, but what I'm trying to say is that's why they're called triggers, because it evokes in us an emotional response to something that we associate a certain smell, sight, or a word, or whatever it is that triggers us, right? So, and what happens is, a lot of times what happens, people will apologize afterwards, saying, I don't know what happens, I just lost my
Sorry, I lost my cool.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good word to use for that. Sometimes I get stuck on
It's okay.
the original.
It's okay.
And so, yeah, you people say, I don't know what happened, I just lost my cool, right?
Yeah.
But really, if you want to know, you can. That's really what we're saying here.
Right.
Wouldn't you say?
Yes, if you want. Like you said,
Right.
some people, they just chop it up to, instead of, like you said, going in and really self-analyzing, okay, where does this come from? And why is this happening often?
Yeah, why I'm reacting this way.
Right. There's like you said, there's a reason behind it. But a lot of people don't want to do the work, so there's that. Because it does take a bit of, like, oh crap, this is in me. I have to admit that.
Well, I think for a lot of people it's also a painful subject, because if it comes from a negative place, nobody likes to
relive that. I guess.
mess with that. And I understand that. But I think the reason it's good to examine it is so that it can have less power over you.
Yeah.
So it has less of a hold on your emotional state of being.
And I don't think it actually goes away, the triggers. Even though you analyze it, yes, you admit, okay, this is what it is and this is where it comes from, but it's not going to stop you from being triggered. I'm not saying that just because you know where it comes from, you will never have any more triggers, because it's impossible.
You could probably just lessen the intensity.
Sure.
Which is a good thing, because then if you have a sense of control over the intensity of your triggers, then the reaction is going to be less likely so in your face about it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think that gives you a sense of
in a way, freedom.
Yeah, thank you, freedom. Yeah, because when you know that you're in control of your own emotion to a certain degree, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do? What do you do? How do you understand that you have a trigger? And more importantly, how do you get to the bottom of it?
That's a good question.
So here's my answer. Here's my answer. When you realize, like you said, if it's something that happens with you often and you just blow up and then you don't know why,
right?
I would say take a moment and understand, okay, what did this person do, say, or otherwise to evoke that reaction in you?
Yeah, exactly.
And then take a moment further, and even sometimes you have to go as far as your childhood and say, what other situations that cause me to react the same way or make me feel the same way? What is it that I'm feeling when this person does A, B, or C, right?
Right.
And then when you associate that with the feeling, you can then examine the feeling. That would be the next step. And you may not even get to it right away. Like one time you just sit down and analyze it. It's not necessarily going to get you the answer. It is a journey. It is a process. But this process gets you closer and closer to your deeper understanding of the self. And when you examine it maybe twice, 3 times, whatever, long enough, you begin to understand the pattern of behavior, and all of a sudden an aha moment happens and you're like, wait a minute, I think I know what it stems from.
Right.
Because when I was 5 years old and my mom told me,
no,
go brush your hair, or she brushed it really hard for me. Now every time somebody touches my hair, I'm like, you know what I mean? Those are they can be as little as something like this.
Yeah, very small.
But when you understand the root of it, all of a sudden it's like, you feel this sense of ease, and it's like beginning to let go of. You're like, ooh, you figured me out. I can't choke you with it anymore.
I like that analogy. Yeah, it's basically like choking when you're out of control of it. Like when it's out of your control, you feel like you kind of like you said, I can't control it, and there's no way to understand it. So that's what we're saying.
Right. That's what we're saying, because I think it's a cop out.
Yeah.
Because some of us, it is a learned behavior, and it is a habit.
Sure.
We are in such a habit to feel bad for ourselves, to feel sorry for ourselves, to complain. Those are all really bad habits.
Very bad.
But they are habits. That's the good news. It is something that you can break. Just like smoking.
Absolutely.
People smoke, they say, I can't quit.
Yeah.
But it is something that you have control over. All you have to do is make up your mind, right? And sometimes, something even traumatic happens in your life, or an aha moment. You go to a lecture or something, and it inspires you in such a way, or you hear something about the lungs in just slightly different way.
You're like, oh.
That all of a sudden, you're like, oh my God, now that you said it this way, I understand. And it motivates me to go ahead and quit smoking.
Right.
So it's that very little slight adjustment in your own psyche that flips everything upside down.
Yep, absolutely.
So don't give up is what I'm saying.
Please don't.
You just gotta keep looking for new ways to rediscover yourself.
Yeah, and really try your best to, like she said, really go within and figure out where's the problem stem. And, like I said, like she said, you're not going to figure it out overnight. But the fact that you're trying something different and not just letting it have complete control over you. I mean, there's people that just they'll lose it they'll go from 0 to 100 in like seconds for everything. And they actually, some people sign them up for anger management class. Like I have a friend that did that, and because it was out of his control to analyze it himself. Yeah, there's other options if you don't.
But guess what? Why do you go to anger management class? It's not a punishment, guys.
No. Yeah.
It is for you.
Right.
Because what they're doing is they're giving you the tools that you're lacking at the moment for you to employ to have a better management of your own emotional state of being.
Right.
So, because I feel like a lot of people, when you send them to anger management, they feel like they're bad people.
Yeah, and it's not that at all. I mean, I
would
sure,
change the perspective, yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's all about changing that perspective of like, okay, well, I must be no. There's other people there as well. So there's like a supportive group in a way, like, you know.
So you don't feel so different or
isolated.
alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I don't think it's anything. I mean, yes, anger management. Obviously, you don't get sent there because, you know, attaboy or a girl. But
right.
it is a compassionate behavior.
Right.
It is something they're telling you. Look, we think you have a problem, but we have a solution. So you're going there for a solution,
Right.
not for a punishment. I think it's important to hear the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going into those kinds of classes with an open mind.
Yeah.
Because if you're going in thinking it's a punishment, obviously you're going to be closed off. You're not going to receive it. You're going to be like,
anything.
I'm just going to do my time and get out, so to speak.
And that's why a lot of people go, you know, really don't get better. And
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because they shut off. You have to definitely open up and be open to that experience. And vice versa, like just even with it, like looking into self and realizing, yeah, I have, it is scary to see your reflection and all the darkness that is in there that you like, oh man, but once you see it and then you're like, okay, you know, like you said, it you could strip some things away, not completely, but the fact that, all right, I can look at myself now. I'm not gonna be scared of it, kind of thing.
I'll add to that. It's even more than that, because guess what? When you are taking responsibility for how you feel, not only your actions, but for how you feel, and you make a decision that you want to feel better more than miserable, more of the time, I mean, right?
Right.
Because some people reside in state of misery
all the time,
most of their time,
24/7,
and they're saying, well, it's just a mood, I can't do anything about it. Granted, there is some of that, but for the most part, there's something you can do to affect the way you feel. So if you take that responsibility, you understand that you are now taking the wheel, and you're behind the wheel, and you're the one driving your own state of being.
Right.
And I think that's just it's a more powerful position to be in.
Yes, it is.
Rather than giving up all your power and letting the outside forces dictate how you're going to feel, how you're going to be, how you're going to react to other people, and so on.
Yeah, that's very true.
So there's a lot of power in taking responsibility. I know it makes people feel, oh, I'm embarrassed for my actions, you know, but I would say embarrassment and humility, they kind of coexist. So instead of looking at it as an embarrassment, I would say take a look at it as a reality check. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm just humbling myself enough to look within and say, I'm not perfect. Because none of us are. Some of us are just better at putting our best foot forward and keeping up the veneer of like, I got this.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we all have our own scars to deal with, our tears to shed, our whatever, right? Wouldn't you say? So hey,
Absolutely.
I think the first step to this kind of recovery, if you will, is to say I'm not perfect and I'm okay with my imperfections because it is part of me. And I need to love all of me. Embrace. Thank you. It's a good word for it. Like, embrace all of you.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Absolutely. That's what makes you who you are. All of it.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you say, just curious, just at a side note, well, not side note, but just when you don't confront that thing and you just kind of let your emotions kind of rule you in every situation. Let's talk about the negative now, just for a second.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that kind of, your aura is, even your aura is negative because you let it rule, like everything it's coming from there, that source.
Absolutely.
Not from a positive source.
Well,
So even the aura. Like I've met people that you're just like, you know what I mean? Not even talking to them, just being around them. You're like, ooh.
Well, it's what you emanate, right?
Yeah, it really emanates out of you.
It's absolutely. If it's brooding in you, guess what? It's apparent to those who pay attention. It may not be apparent to everyone.
Right.
But if you are somewhat of aware of your surroundings, you will pick up on that.
Yeah, you don't want that, basically, is what I'm saying.
You won't even know what it is. You just be like, I don't know why, but this person just, I don't like him. So, you know, haven't we all said, I don't even know why. I mean, he didn't do anything bad to me, but I don't like the guy, girl, whatever. It's that negative aura, like you say, of course. So
just don't let it dictate to you. Don't let it control your life. Basically, is what we're saying. And because that sucks. It sucks to have that. And those people who live out of that probably wonder why no one really wants to like talk to them.
Yeah, and they're the people who are like, I don't know why nobody would hang out with me. And then they self-perpetuate that feeling of self-pity, really.
Yeah,
So it's okay to acknowledge that, and it's okay to face it. It doesn't feel good at the moment. Yes, it's icky and gross and somewhat messy. But if you're running away from it, it's going to keep chasing you. It's not going to go away.
Right.
It's when you turn around and say, okay, I'm ready for you. Come at me, bro. That's when they'll be like, oh yeah, no. You're too cool for me. Let me step aside. And how do you do it? Whatever it is. Anger management, self-awareness, you know, I don't know, even psychology.
Yeah, that's an option.
All of these options are there for you to explore. If you're not ready to do this on your own, then get help.
Please.
That's what the help is there for, is so that you can have a better handle on your own life.
Yeah.
Because really, everything we do, think, feel, say, comprises and makes our life. So what kind of life do you want to live?
That's it.
Do you want to be a constant victim of your own emotions? Or do you want to finally say enough is enough and I'm going to take my power back?
That's it. So I'm just curious. I love that. Now when you said that there's positive.
I love
Tell me about that.
Okay. One example I can bring up of a positive trigger is sometimes you'll smell something and it'll remind you of something in your childhood and you desperately want to remember what that smell is like what exactly. Sometimes you just can't put your finger on it. Have you ever had that? It's those. Or you hear something, or you have a deja vu moment and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I know this looks so familiar. Where have I seen this or felt this before? Those are the good ones. For me, especially the smells. I think those are the most. I would say those are the most powerful.
Yeah.
Even the words. I have trigger words. Like, for example, when my dad, because he did it so seldom, that every time he used that one word, it like made my day.
Oh.
He would just say daughter.
Oh.
That's it. He would call me daughter. And that like warmed me up from the inside. I cannot even describe it to you. When I grew up, he used that a lot more. But I think it's those things that you yearn for. Those could also be triggers, you know.
That's cool.
Another one is, for example, when my husband uses the word, don't bark at me. If he says the word bark, ooh, baby, a whole new devil comes out of me. I'm like, do not use this word with me. I know why. Because I always heard that word with a negative connotation attached to it.
I gotcha.
Because I've seen men around me using that with their women, saying, oh, she barks at me and whatever. So anytime he says that, and to him it's just, this doesn't have the same associative meaning that it does to me.
I get it.
But I had to sit down and explain to him why this particular, because he was like, why this word? Like, what about this word that makes you feel so crazy? So I had to figure it out within me, because I couldn't, at first I was just getting upset with him. I couldn't even tell him, like, and then I had to re-examine. It's like, okay, when he said that word, it really upset me. So then the next step was like, okay, I got to talk to him about this word. So you see how it's a progression. It's not like, oh, right away, like in the movies, they tell you a phrase and you tell them, no, this is my trigger and this is why. Because, you know, in movies, everything is so well spoken. You always feel like, why can't I talk like that?
It's
like
not real
it
life.
is in the movies. Right.
It's not reality.
But you see what I'm saying?
Right.
I always, man, I'm telling you, like every time I see a good scene in a movie that emotionally affects me, I'm like, man, it's always so perfect. They always know what to say and how to have an argument in such a way where they both understand each other. There's not any there's no unresolved anything at the end of this argument, right? They came to resolution. And I'm always like, wow, this is such a beautiful way to resolve an argument like this. And it makes me think. And I'm like, but and then I tell my husband, wait, honey, that's not real life. I'm like, wouldn't it be nice though if it were?
Would be nice.
So, but it can be when you take the time to do that work and say, okay, if this doesn't make me feel good, I need to figure out why, so that it doesn't keep not making me feel good.
It's valid. Yeah.
Because guess what? In our world, the better it gets, the better it gets. That's our motto. So we got to stick to it,
That's it.
So that's
this
why.
Helps, guys.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this episode. This is great.
Yeah, it was actually
a
fun topic in the end. So, what are your triggers, huh?
Your aura is great. Look at her aura, guys. It's so
yeah,
bright.
This is my angelic look. Do you like that? Where's my halo? It's right here looking at me. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you.
We will see you next time.